You ever seen a team move a two-time All-Star for a bag of Skittles and a few loose buttons they found in the couch? Because that is exactly what just happened in Chicago. And if you think this is just another basketball trade, you are missing the biggest story in the WNBA. Caitlin Clark just changed the game again, but this time she did it without even stepping on the court. While everyone was busy arguing over who the real face of the league is, the Chicago Sky were busy writing receipts. They did something so bold, so cold, and so calculated that it sent shockwaves from the Midwest all the way down to Atlanta. They took their biggest star, the Bayou Barbie herself, Angel Reese, and they didn't just trade her. They practically paid for the Uber to get her out of the building. And the crazy part, fans are calling it a bargain bin trade because the return felt like pocket change. We are talking about 2 future late first-round draft picks and a second-round swap. No cash, no stars, no veteran leadership, nothing. Just a clear, echoing silence that says more than a press release ever could. If you stay until the end of this video, you are going to find out the real reason why Chicago was so desperate to move on the one statistic that exposes the myth of the double-double queen and why this entire mess is actually the greatest gift Caitlin Clark could have ever asked for heading into 2026. This is bigger than basketball. This is about a culture shift that is leaving some stars in the dust while others are rising to the stratosphere. Quick note before we dive into the deep end of this drama. Everything you are about to hear is based on publicly available information, verified reports from inside the league, and our own deep dive film and data analysis. We are not affiliated with Caitlin Clark, the Indiana Fever, the Chicago Sky, or the WNBA. We are not here to take sides or push a narrative. We are here to break down what the numbers and the footage actually say, because in this league, the truth is often buried under a mountain of hype and social media posts. All opinions expressed are for entertainment and informational purposes only, and we respect every athlete who puts in the work on that floor. So let's talk about that trade value, or the lack of it. People are losing their minds on Twitter calling this a fleece job by Atlanta. And on paper, yeah, it looks insane. You have got a 23-year-old who led the league in rebounds for 2 straight seasons. You have got a player who moves needles, sells jerseys, and brings eyes to the screen. And you trade her for a bag of Skittles. But here is the thing about the professional sports world that the casual fan often forgets. Talent is only half the equation. The other half is the cost of doing business. Not just the salary cap, but the energy cap, the locker room cap. The Chicago Sky front office didn't just wake up one day and decide they hated winning. They sat down, looked at the tape, looked at the culture, and realized that keeping Angel Reese was costing them more than she was producing. That phrase, detrimental to the team, isn't just some corporate jargon. In the world of pro sports, that is paper trail language. That is the kind of label you slap on a player when you have already decided that the relationship is broken beyond repair. Chicago stopped pretending in September when they handed down that half-game suspension. It wasn't about one bad interview. It was about a pattern of behavior that made the organization feel like they were living in a circus instead of a basketball facility. Remember that interview with the Chicago Tribune? Reese sat there and told reporters the Sky needed to get great players and called it non-negotiable for her. She wasn't talking to her general manager. She wasn't voicing concerns in a team meeting like a leader would. She went to the press and basically told the entire organization that they weren't good enough for her. Think about being her teammate and reading that. Imagine being Camila Cardoso or Dana Evans and hearing your teammate tell the world that the roster is trash. Chicago responded by benching her, but the damage was done. The trust was gone. And it wasn't just the front office. The whispers from the locker room were getting louder. Reports started surfacing that teammates didn't want to play with her. Coaches couldn't corral her. While the Sky were actually trying to run an offense and win games, it felt like Reese was out there on a solo mission chasing her own double-double routine. She was playing for the stat sheet while the team was playing for the scoreboard. And let us talk about the Courtney Vanderloot situation, because that was the first major red flag. Vanderloot is a legend. Two-time champion, five-time All-Star, a player who built the Sky's culture from the ground up. When she got hurt, Reese didn't show respect. She didn't offer support. She publicly called her old. She implied she was washed up. She told the press they couldn't rely on someone at that age. Players across the league noticed that instantly. In the WNBA, respect is the currency you use to survive. When you trash a veteran like Vanderloot, you aren't just attacking a person. You are attacking the very foundation of the league's sisterhood. Then you look at what happened with Camila Cardoso. These two were supposed to be the twin towers of the future, the front court that would dominate the paint for a decade. But sources inside the building reported that Cardoso was visibly giving up. There is footage of her walking toward the New York Liberty bench during a game, looking like she wanted to switch jerseys right then and there. That is not a personality clash. That is a toxic environment. By the time the late-season absences started piling up, the writing was on the wall. Reese cited a back injury, but the timing was a little too convenient. It lined up perfectly with when the accountability conversations inside the building were getting the loudest. And then the kicker, the private jet. While her team was fighting for their lives on the court, Reese was on a jet to Las Vegas twerking and having a ball. It is hard to sell a back injury story when the footage shows you have never been more flexible. Chicago's front office didn't just see a player who was hurt. They saw a player who had checked out. So when they had to choose between Cardoso and Reese, the vote wasn't even close. They chose the younger center who fits a spacing system and doesn't create a headline every 3 weeks. Trading Reese wasn't Chicago admitting she couldn't play. It was Chicago admitting she didn't fit their soul. But here is where it gets really interesting for all the Caitlin Clark fans out there. While Atlanta thinks they just got a steal, they might have actually just walked into a tactical nightmare. Atlanta's front court is already slow. They have Brittany Griner and Brianna Jones. Now you add Angel Reese. You have 3 front court players who cannot shoot from the perimeter. Defenses are going to sag off them so far they might as well be in the stands. Imagine the spacing. It is going to be a congested, heavy, flat-footed mess in that paint. And you know who loves a slow, congested defense, Caitlin Clark. When Indiana runs their pace and space offense, they force teams to make impossible choices. Clark moves the ball into actions that make slow bigs choose between protecting the rim and closing out on shooters. Against a team like the new Atlanta Dream, that choice is already made for them. Brittany Griner is a legend. But she is not a pick-and-roll defender who can chase Aaliyah Boston through multiple screens. Angel Reese might be a great rebounder, but she cannot rotate fast enough to contest a corner 3 from someone like Sophie Cunningham or Lexi Hull. And speaking of those rebounds, we have to address the elephant in the room, the me-bounds. This is the term fans have coined for Reese's tendency to grab multiple offensive rebounds off her own missed layups. If you look at the raw numbers, leading the league in rebounding looks incredible. But when you look at the film, a massive chunk of those boards come because she misses a shot from 2 feet away, grabs it, misses again, and grabs it again. It is stat padding masquerading as dominance. Defenses don't respect her shot from mid-range or beyond. They don't even really respect her at the rim because they know the efficiency isn't there. Her shooting percentage from 2 feet or less is reportedly under 28% in certain stretches. Let that sink in. If you are a professional post player and you are shooting under 30% from the doorstep, you aren't an offensive threat. You are a turnover waiting to happen. So when the Fever face off against the Dream 4 times next season, it is going to be a bloodbath. Indiana's roster is built for the modern game. They have Aaliyah Boston drawing defenders into the paint, Kelsey Mitchell cutting off ball with elite speed, and Caitlin Clark orchestrating the whole thing from the logo. They have 4 players who can all make the defense work simultaneously. Atlanta is going to be running 3 non-shooting bigs into a brick wall of Indiana's discipline. The Fever aren't rebuilding from zero anymore. While Reese was busy with her drama in Chicago, Clark was sharpening her rotations and building chemistry with her supporting cast. The team Clark is returning to in 2026 is a well-oiled machine that knows how to win without her having to carry every single possession. The reaction in Atlanta has been a tale of 2 cities. Half the fans are pre-ordering jerseys and celebrating the Bayou Barbie coming to the A. They see the marketability. They see the ticket prices jumping from $38 to $68 in a single day. But the other half, they are asking the real questions. They are looking at the minutes problem. They are looking at the baggage. They are looking at why Chicago let her go for 2 late picks. You don't give up a 23-year-old all-star for pocket change unless there is a fire you are trying to put out. Atlanta just inherited every single piece of that drama. They didn't get a calmer version of Reese. They got the same one who reportedly told her inner circle she is worth more than the entire Chicago Sky franchise. Not the picks, not the contract, the whole organization. That level of delusion is hard to coach out of a player. And the part that stings the most for the Reese camp is that Chicago chose Cardoso. That is the ultimate verdict. The Sky looked at both of them and decided that a center who works within a system is more valuable than a star who pulls against it. They chose peace over highlights. They chose the future over the circus. And while the media might try to frame this as a fresh start, the history suggests otherwise. From Maryland to LSU to Chicago, there has never been a team where Reese didn't eventually generate locker room friction. It is a pattern, not a series of isolated incidents. Meanwhile, back in Indiana, the atmosphere couldn't be more different. The Fever fans aren't nervous. They are licking their chops. They know that every time Clark steps on the floor against a front court that can't guard her, she is going to put up historic numbers. The rivalry between Clark and Reese has been the most watched storyline in the WNBA for years, but the gap between them is starting to look like a canyon. One is evolving with the game becoming a more complete leader and a tactical genius. The other is relying on the same stat-padding routines and locker room antics that just got her traded for a bag of chips. Jersey sales don't guard Kelsey Mitchell coming off a screen. TikTok followers don't stop Caitlin Clark from hitting a pull-up 3 from 30 feet. Beyond the basketball, this story teaches us something we can all use in our own lives. It is a blueprint of what happens when hype outpaces reality. Caitlin Clark's story is about doing the work. It is about walking into a league that wasn't ready for her, carrying expectations that no rookie should have to carry, and showing up every single night with a focus on the game. She didn't silence her critics by arguing with them on social media. She silenced them by playing. She showed us that when an entire system seems designed to slow you down, the only way through is to be so good they can't ignore you. Angel Reese's story, on the other hand, is a cautionary tale about the price of arrogance. When you think you are bigger than the team, when you think your individual stats matter more than the win-loss column, you become expendable. It doesn't matter how many double-doubles you have if your teammates can't stand to be in the same room as you. It doesn't matter how many jerseys you sell if the front office thinks you are a poison to the culture. In a world that wanted her to be perfect from day one, Clark was willing to be imperfect and keep going. Reese wanted to be a queen before she had even mastered the basics of her position. One is building a legacy. The other is collecting jerseys like they are infinity stones, moving from city to city as the bridges burn behind her. If Caitlin Clark has ever given you a moment that made you jump off your couch, I want you to drop a basketball emoji in the comments right now. Let us show the world how many people are riding with the real GOAT of this generation. And I want to hear your honest take. Do you think Angel Reese was treated fairly by Chicago? Or do you think she is exactly what the Sky said she was, detrimental to the team? Is Atlanta making a genius move? Or did they just sign up for locker room suicide? We read every single comment, and we want to know what the real fans think, not just what the talking heads on TV are saying. Your engagement helps this story reach more sports fans who deserve the full picture, not just the headlines. Now you know the real story of why the Chicago Sky blew it all up and why Caitlin Clark is about to have her best season yet. But wait until you hear about what Camila Cardoso went through behind the scenes to survive that locker room. There is one specific moment during a practice that changed everything for Chicago. And it involved a clipboard and a whole lot of disrespect. That video is on your screen right now, and trust me, you do not want to miss it. It explains exactly why the Sky are laughing all the way to the draft. I will see you over there. Let us look deeper into the tactical side of this, because I know some of you are thinking, but wait, she is an all-star. She has the numbers. Okay, let us break down the 2025 season opener against Indiana. That was the game where Reese got tangled up with Clark and drew those offsetting technical fouls. After the game, she publicly framed it as discrimination. Think about that for a second. In a professional basketball game where physical play is part of the job description, she went straight to the most explosive narrative possible. Reports surfaced that even her own teammates were caught off guard by that. They weren't expecting her to go there. When you use that kind of language to describe a basketball play, you are making it impossible for your organization to defend you. You are putting everyone on the defensive. You are making it about everything except the game. And that is the problem. With Reese, it is never just about the game. It is about the brand. It is about the Barbie. It is the controversy. Compare that to how Clark handled the physical play. She was getting bodied on national TV every single night. She was taking hard fouls that would have made most players sit out a week. And what did she do? She got up. She didn't go to the press and cry foul. She didn't try to make it about something bigger than basketball. She just kept shooting. She kept passing. She kept winning. That is the difference between a player who wants to be a star and a player who is a star. One needs the drama to stay relevant. The other makes the drama irrelevant by being undeniable. The Chicago Sky front office choice of Cardoso over Reese wasn't just about talent. It was about the ceiling. Cardoso is a true center. She is a defensive anchor who can change shots without needing to be the center of attention. She fits into a modern offense that values ball movement and spacing. Reese, with her non-existent shooting range and her need to dominate the ball to get her rebounds, is a relic of a different era. She is a volume player in a league that is moving toward efficiency. In 2026, the WNBA is going to be faster and more skilled than ever before. If you can't shoot from 10 feet, you are a liability. Chicago saw the ceiling closing in on Reese, and they decided to get out while they could still get a bag of Skittles for her. Because in another year, that price might have dropped to a pack of gum. Atlanta is taking a massive gamble that they can change her. They are betting that a change of scenery and the veteran presence of someone like Brittany Griner will settle her down. But here is the problem with that logic. Griner is a post player. Reese is a post player. Brianna Jones is a post player. You can't have three people occupying the same space at the same time. It is basic geometry. If you are a guard in Atlanta, like Ryan Howard or Alicia Gray, your life just got 10 times harder. You used to have driving lanes. Now you have a crowded house of non-shooters waiting for you at the rim. Every time Reese sets up near the basket, the defense is going to collapse, and Howard is going to find herself double-teamed with nowhere to go. It is a recipe for a stagnant, frustrating offense. And that leads us back to the fever. Indiana's roster is the literal opposite of that. They have floor spacers everywhere. They have players who don't need the ball to be effective. When Clark is double-teamed, she knows exactly where her outlets are. She has a chemistry with Boston that is starting to look like Stockton and Malone for the modern era. They are playing chess while Atlanta is trying to play checkers with too many pieces on the board. The gap in basketball IQ between these two teams is becoming glaringly obvious. One is being built by a front office that understands the modern game. The other is being built by a front office that is chasing ticket sales and social media engagement. And look, I get it. The WNBA needs stars. It needs the eyes that Reese brings. But at what cost? Is it worth a 30-win season if you have to deal with a locker room cancer? Is it worth the jersey sales if your best players want to walk out? Chicago said no. They looked at the long-term health of their franchise and decided that peace of mind was worth more than a few extra followers on Instagram. They are trying to change the culture to move away from the circus and back to the basketball. And honestly, they should be commended for it. Most teams are too afraid of the social media backlash to make a move like this. But Chicago stood their ground. They documented the behavior, they followed the paper trail, and they made the hard call. As we head into this new season, keep your eyes on the body language. Watch the Atlanta bench when Reese misses 3 layups in a row to get her own rebound. Watch how Ryan Howard reacts when she is wide open on the perimeter, but Reese decides to force a shot over 2 defenders. The cracks will show early. On the other side, watch the joy in Indiana. Watch how they celebrate each other's success. Watch how Clark, even as the biggest star in the world, is the first one to cheer for a bench player's bucket. That is what a winning culture looks like. That is why Indiana is a title contender and Atlanta is a question mark. The Michael Jordan of women's basketball, Jordan won 6 rings because he made everyone around him better. He demanded excellence, but he also provided the blueprint for it. Reese demands excellence from everyone else while refusing to work on her own shooting range. She wants the glory of Jordan with the efficiency of a role player. That math doesn't add up. Until she embraces the role, she was born to be a defensive specialist, and a role player, she will never be a winner at the professional level. She is a Rodman who thinks she is a Jordan, and that is a dangerous thing for any team to deal with. So, as the 2026 season kicks off, the stage is set. The drama has moved south, the receipts have been filed in Chicago, and the path is clear for Caitlin Clark to take her throne. The WNBA has never been more exciting, but the excitement isn't just about the highlight reels. It is about the clash of philosophies. It is about the battle between the brand and the ball. And if I am a betting man, I am putting all my money on the ball. I am putting it on the player who shows up, does the work, and lets her game do the talking. I am putting it on the Indiana Fever. Don't forget to click that video on your screen to see the full breakdown of the Cardoso-Reese practice incident. It is the missing piece of the puzzle that explains everything. And hey, if you haven't already hit that subscribe button and turn on all notifications, we are covering every single angle of this rivalry all season long, and you do not want to miss a single drop of the tea. We are breaking down the film, the stats, and the stories that the mainstream media is too scared to touch. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we will see you in the next one. This is just the beginning of the most explosive season in basketball history. Get your popcorn ready because the Caitlin Clark Show is just getting started, and the rest of the league is just trying to keep up. Atlanta, you have been warned. Chicago, you might have just saved your franchise. And Angel. Well, I hope those Skittles were worth it. The lights are bright in the A, but they are even brighter when the truth finally comes out. We out.